Hi everyone, it's Simon, and it's about time we talked about Notion Forms, Notion's latest feature. Maybe by now you already know that unlimited forms are available on Notion accounts and you can do a lot with them, but I want to show you a bunch of new and accessible ways to use forms in Notion to make it so much better. So in this video, I'll demo ways to add forms to your existing Notion setup, and to do that, I want to integrate them with my latest client and content OS, my Notion Life OS templates in step-by-step builds. That means by the end of this video, you should have gained 3 rather useful things. The basics of how to set up forms in Notion immediately for yourself. 2, you'll have some step-by-step build demos of how to add forms to existing databases, such as those in my Notion Life OS or client and content management system. And therefore, you'll have 3, some powerful inspiration and examples of what is possible with Notion Forms. Embedding forms on websites, linking forms into a CRM, using forms as an idea generator or a UI for your own use, and even creating an onboarding system directly within database templates. And my favorite, using buttons to really supercharge how forms work in Notion. And before we get started with all of that, I just have to say a massive thank you to every one of you who has downloaded one of my Notion Life OS templates so far. It really does mean a lot, and wow, there are so many of you. So if you are new and you like the look of what's going on here, make sure you jump over to bettercreating.com to see my latest Life OS templates, organize everything in one place in Notion, and it's all built for you. And the best bit, what we're doing here, will be built into. So we better get creating. So let's start by exploring the basics of adding forms, and to do that I want to start by building an inquiry form for a portfolio or website, and we're going to do that directly in my Life OS template. This is my bundle. You can see I'm letting anyone know who's downloading it not to do it just yet because we're updating it. So this is literally what's happening, and I'm going to want to make that essentially visible in the website portfolio page as a draft thing here, and we're going to use the inquiry form element to do that. And we're going to build this form, which is a kind of inquiry form for your system, and it links to this CRM database. Now, the first thing to say is that there are 2 ways to create forms. If we're going to create a form fast, we can do /form. This is how quick it is. I think this is probably the quickest thing. New form. You've got some questions. We can change this to be anyone with the web link can view it. You'll see we have a form builder and we have a responses database already created. You can preview it by clicking preview or jump to your browser of choice and show it to you. And we can share it by clicking share, make sure it's added to anyone on the web, copy the link, drop it into a page here, and there it is. So we can then go, hi. We can submit it, we can send it to our email if we want, and then if we jump back here, we'll see in responses the results, and it aligns it with the different columns. That's how simple it is, unbelievably quick. However, we want to put it into our system. If you are using Notion Life OS, you'll probably want to do this in contacts, and I'm going to build it into the contacts database. Or if you are in the bundle, you're going to want to go to your CRM, open up one of your client views, and jump to the source database, and that's where we're going to build it in. So the other way to get to that, if you are doing this in one of my templates, would be to jump to the system view, go to master databases, find contacts, and there it is. And we could open that as a full page if we want to. So to add something here, you just click on the options for the views and you go down and add new form. And it will give us this option to auto-create questions. I don't want to create 25 questions, but if you had already made a database with the answers you wanted, then you would have the option just to immediately create the form. But I'm going to start from scratch and we're going to name it. So we're going to go inquiry form. I'm going to just give it a little icon, which is good. I'm going to upload one of my own images. Let's make it that. There you go, there's my little form. And we've got this rather new thing, add to workspace emoji library. Absolutely love this. We can add a cover. I love to just pop in Unsplash, and maybe we'll look for something that says hello. And we have the option to add stuff in. So you can see here, this is what I built. We have name, company, primary contact, and email. And what you're going to be doing is linking these to the properties in the databases. So you can click on these dots and you can edit it, whether it's required or not. And if you want it to sync with property name, I don't. I want it just to link to what's already there. So that's good. I'm then going to add another one and it will start suggesting things that you might want to add from existing properties. We're going to go for primary contact next. It's as simple as that, really. Let's now add another one. We want to find email, but we will rename that to be email. Add another one, phone. And I think I want email to be required. I want to add the website. So I'm going to find my first website. That is a link. So when you look at this, you can see the property it is linked to, the website URL. It's a type property. And that I also want to make sure that is required. I'm now going to add a new item, which I would like to be a multiple choice. Give it a description. And we're going to say here, what can we help you with? So for example, you might put a little description in saying what you offer, and then you can add options within here. So there we have our options. And I think we might want to add a files and media element, and that would then give us the option with that to collect any kind of items. Let's just take a little look at this. If we now jump into the main view here, we might, now we've done that, want to just find the what can we help you with, and we can rename this to be something like that. Yeah, and then that could be moved forward. And what I would suggest actually as well is that you move your form builder further up, and you might want to rename your form builder to be what it is. The other thing that I have within this system is a default template. And if we edit that template, you'll see that the contact type is always set as lead. Currently, you're not able to have a hidden field within a form to say set a status for it. So at the moment, anything that's input into the system will just be blank. So we've built our form. We can now preview the form, and you'll see that because it's an internal form at the moment, it pops up rather nicely like this, and we can take a look and you would be able to submit answers and test it out. The other great thing, if you click on these dots, is you can customize a form. So if we click here, it's really just the color of the button, but I might make that blue to match the emoji. You could say here, submit your inquiry, and we can add a confirmation title. We can write some sort of response. Now, I believe the customization feature is possibly the only thing that is limited by a paid plan, but everyone else gets unlimited access to this. Now, it might be that you want to also create a view, pick one of the existing views you have, and just reform that so that it is only for leads. You know, we've got this here, and then just kind of show what you want to show in terms of what's been submitted. I'm actually going to check that now for my properties that are shown. I'm going to also add some of the new ones we've got. So client request, and I want to put in client submitted files. And we can see then that anything they've added will drop in underneath my report. Let's give it a little test and make it live. So we know to go to this, we can now share the form. We now have a couple of options. First of all, you will probably want to make it public so that everyone can access it. I think this might also be a paid feature, but I'm going to turn off the Notion branding, and I'm going to copy the link. Now, you could embed this. So let's first go back to our main page and jump down to the website portfolio, which is going to be my site. And maybe you want your inquiry form on the bottom page here. We'll look at buttons in a moment, but if we want to drop it here, you could just return, paste, and click embed, and we will see the form directly within the website. And what's great is, since I have essentially shared this whole page as a website, it is published, I can, if I view the site, immediately have my website portfolio up and my form is available within the system. So let's give this a try, shall we? If we open up the form, I'm going to give an answer. Okay, so we've got an entry in our form. Let's click to send it. We can see the result that we set ourselves. Thanks for getting in touch. And then if we now jump in our CRM, we have a leads view, and we should see that entry. You have to make sure now that your lead views are all filtered where the type is either lead or contact type is empty. If I now make sure that in this view as well, I have the new properties showing, we can see what's gone in. We can click in and we can turn that into a lead. So it filters into the right place, and Pepper has submitted an image of herself. Very cool. Now let's look at buttons. So if we jump back to our LifeOS and go down to the website portfolio page, I'm going to turn this button into a link to the form. So let's do this from scratch so you can see what we're doing. Here, we want to go /button. I would like that button to be grey in its background, and we're going to call it Get in Touch. So we want to say that when the button is clicked, open page, and we're going to paste our URL in, and I want to open it in Centerpeak. It then opens the form so that you can complete it. That is super cool because if we now visit this as a website, it should do the same thing. There it is, Get in Touch, click it, and the form comes up. Now, I think that's a much cleaner use case on an online website. So let's now just jump back, and I'm actually going to duplicate this, take it down, drop it in here, and we'll call that Enquiry form. This one can be deleted. We probably want to now delete that. And now you have a website template you can start using. But we can take this much further and we can start to use forms for our next use case, which is internally. This is a brilliant way to create yourself a much more serious UX or UI to use with your system. And I'm using it for this, the content idea generator. So when I click this button, it creates me an internal form to add and kind of prompt myself to think up new content ideas. You were also able to use these buttons within a client portal. And what is really cool about this, if we open up Pepper's client portal, we're able to kind of build an onboarding questionnaire. So let's build it. I want to start with the personal use case, but hey, if you are enjoying this video, make sure to hit the like button and get subscribed below for more great ideas, tools and tech to make your life a little bit easier. So we're doing this in my Notion LifeOS bundle because my bundle essentially links both my LifeOS and this, my client and content OS, which is also a standalone template. So if you downloaded this before the date listed below, you may want to use this to update your version of these templates. So we're going to do this in the bundle first of all, and I want to jump to my content manager, and we have a quick capture view here, and I want to put it in here. We currently have a button that will do the job for us. It will just create a new idea within this, but I want to create a different UI. So within that, I'm going to just put a little dash here. I'm going to do /button, and we're going to call this button New Idea Generator. Let's give it a light bulb because I like the look of it. We'll come back to sort that button out in a moment. That just means it's not been set up properly. Now, in this view, you will see it. This is where it would turn up in the ideas inbox, but I want to jump through to the content database, and we're going to create a new view within this. Now, the joy of creating a form internally is that you then get the option to do things like add a link to relation properties. And that's going to mean that you are then able to reference other databases within the system that you have access to. This is what we're going to build. So we're going to jump back to here and we're going to create a new form. Start from scratch. I want to add an icon. I'm going to make it that. So we want the name to be this, and I want it to not sync. It's going to go with the title. And so we've got a title. Here, I'm now going to go and link to channel, which is a relation. Now, by clicking this, we might make it required. I'm going to give it a description. I'm going to actually limit that to 1 because it's only going to be for one channel. And I don't want to sync it with the property name. Here you can see what the relation is. And we're all set. Now, if we preview this, we can see when we click into the channel that we will then see all of the channels within the system that are already preset, and we can link them in like that, which I think is a really great idea. That's all working nicely. I'm going to give the form a cover. We can give little prompts if we wanted that. Now, what I'm also going to do here is one-line idea. I've got a thing within my system. I'm going to link it to that. And in the description here, I'm going to make that required as well. I'm going to allow it to be a long answer just so it has a little bit of status there. And in the description, I'm going to write this. Consider how you would frame it. A type of video that will show X people how Y can result in Z. So a nice way to prompt myself. I'm going to say, frame the idea in one line. And the other thing we might want to do with this is we might want to add a link to topics and resources. We might want to link it to a client, say, so we could find our clients and collaborators link. And finally, we might want to add notes and references. Great. And then maybe we want to say, is there a planned fee? And we can simply move these around if we want to change this. So maybe we want to do the ideas first. And there you go. So we now have our idea generator ready. I'm going to click on share form. It's going to stay as within Better Creating, and I don't want it to be anonymous because I want to see who it is that has submitted it. Copy the link and we are good to go. So we'll call this idea. I'm actually going to call it editor. So we're able to update that. That can be just dropped in there and we are all set. Let's give this a little test. So we're going to preview the form and you'll see it now pops up within Notion, which is great. And to use it, I want to go back now to my main system and go to the content manager and we'll see our button. And first of all, in my new ideas, I want to make sure that the filters for that will allow it to show. So where status is either inbox and idea, turn that into a group, or where status is empty, just so that we know we'll capture stuff currently from forms. And in here, we're going to edit this button. And when the button is clicked, we want to open a page or URL. Going to paste it in. You might just want to find the form internally. We can do it like that. In Centerpeak, done. Now that should mean that within our content manager, we can now go and click new idea and drop it in. So let's just give this a little test. Let's link it importantly to a channel. I want this to be a YouTube video. I'm going to frame the idea. What topics is it linked to? Now we might want to link it to a relation in there, which is YouTubing, and link it to any notes and references. Or maybe this is nice around the power method of capture. That could be good information. Any clients and collaborators. This is maybe Better Creating. And is there a planned fee? I'm going to leave it blank and I'm going to submit it. You can see here, this is just a basic response. I didn't update it, but I'm happy with it. But because we are in the database and we have access, we can now view my response and jump straight to it. And you'll see the results of what we've written in. It's related to everything it needs to relate to. You've got one topic, one note. Fantastic. And I'm just going to make it a new video idea. And there it is. And if we jump now back to the content manager and look in new ideas, we can see our new video idea is ready to rock. And we've got this lovely option now of making it live, and we will then see it pop up in our publishing schedule as needed. Now, one thing I think this would be a really cool thing to use for, if you wanted to go further and we jump back into this page, would be in a journal. Now, currently in my journal, I have these templates. So if we just click, for example, into the weekly reflection, it's all written out within the page. Now, you might want to keep that, but if you wanted to put everything within a database, you could create forms for prompted journaling. Pretty cool. So next, I want to take a little look at my CRM and my client portal area within my content and client OS. And I'm going to show you how within these client portals, we can drop bespoke full form systems just for that client. This is going to be good. Now, I have this client and content OS system, and I wanted to create, first of all, a CRM, which allows you to track the progress of clients as they travel through your system. I wanted a place where I could see all of my various classified contacts, depending if they're collaborators or guests on content, if they're sponsoring or partnering, if they're clients for client work. And this is probably one of my favorite use cases because currently I didn't want to give clients access to all my personal databases. So I created a second database called Client Portals, which allows you to create a client portal template. You can edit it and set it to be a default for all views. And then what we do is we go in and edit the template, and it allows you to create a portal through which every time you generate it, all of the information will be in there and we can link it to the client. Now, what happens in my template is every time I add a client, if we now just briefly drop back to the CRM and look at, say, all clients. Now, what it means is when I jump into a client here, I can create a client portal and it will show me that portal within the listing of the client. And it's a place that I can contain my relationship with that individual or that company and keep all of the documents, anything we want to add as we go. And so I have this database within the template, which will allow me to add onboarding, new proposals, and that is where I want to create a forms system. So currently the onboarding submission is just a set of call out blocks, which is fine. That might be all you need, but let's give it a bit of a zhuzh. So we're going to jump to our complete Notion version of it. And I want to go to the CRM and go through to client portals. And here is the database. We're not going to build the forms within that database. We're going to build it within each template. So I go into my client portal template, click edit, and we're now in it. So if you own this template already and want to add this to it, it's not in there already, then this is how to do it. We're going to, instead of just having project documents here, I want to now move that down into admin. So we're going to drop that there. I'm going to turn this into a page just so it's nice and hidden. And then in here, we're going to go / gallery view. And I want it to be of the documents that we have set here. And we'll rename that to be all project documents. And in here, we're going to add a form. And I'm going to create 6 questions and see what it does. Up in the description, I'm going to put that thing we wrote before. So I think I'm really happy now with my questionnaire. That's all complete. And we can click share form. I think this can just stay within the system. We're going to copy the link to it. So if we now jump back to the template, that is all kind of pretty much built. The only thing that's left to do is create the form. So we're going to go in here, do / button. We're going to edit this to be... And when the button is clicked, we want to add open a URL, the onboarding questionnaire in center peak. Done. I also want to just make that grey, and we can probably tab it in. Nice. So the other thing I want to now do is I just want to go into this page, into the project portal document, and I'm going to add a table view so we can see everything. And within this view, I'm going to add a document type. Let's choose properties. We're going to have new property, and I want it to be document type. Select manual, and the options we want is onboarding questionnaire and project proposal, for example. So you've got your project documents. I just want to edit the view here, see what properties are shown. We've got all the names, and I'm just going to show document type. So we now have what we need. If we go back to our template page of the client portal, we should be able to test this out. So this all project documents, if we now start the onboarding questionnaire and have a little go, select our beginning and end dates. Let's say it's that. How would you prefer to collaborate? Project plan, submit. Now, if we go back in, there it is, it's turning up. So you can see that's worked. I want to make sure that what is showing is correct on this. So we're probably going to want to have document type and the AI summary. That would be useful. And then what we're going to do here is create a little automation, which is when page added, and when that's edited, I want a new action, which is to edit a property, which is the document type to be onboarding questionnaire. And that means that we know that when we set this up, it will be turned into that. So create that. I'm going to just rename that, and we're going to call it label questionnaire submission and save. Let's just now try this. I'm going to delete this item and we'll just try another one. These are required. Let's now wait and see if it updates. And you can see it is updated as an onboarding questionnaire, which is fantastic. You can only build automations in a paid plan. You should be aware of that. Otherwise, we are set. And you now have, if we go back into the Complete Life OS, a means of going to your CRM, looking at your client portals. And if I just refresh this entire setup, you'll now see that in my Pepper Corp Limited system, I have all of those things that I built, and they are working to use within that setup. Pretty damn cool. There's no reason that you couldn't go into your client portal now and just within the same main document page, create another form, and that could be another form of submission. Okay, so we now have a bunch of ways to make forms really useful in Notion. But unless you have the fundamentals down of how to make a Notion organization system something you actually use to save time every day, you might always feel like you're just building and tinkering in the platform. So to learn the productivity strategies that actually work for me, you should watch this video next, or this one down here for a full tour of that Notion Live OS system that means you don't even have to build your own. It would be great if you click my face to subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.